Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another episode. This is the second episode on this course. So we shall learn how to use the different tools for modeling. When you come here to under models, I'm going to select a new Revit model file. Choose a structure template like we had said in the previous tutorial. First things first, you need to set the units. So you head over to manage, then units right here. If you hover over the tool, it tells you specifies the display format for units of measure. So select a discipline and unit to specify their precision and symbol. So when you click, I'll leave the discipline as common because I only want to change a few of these. Distance, I'll use millimeters because that's what I'm used to. I'll not round off because I like it to 0, so it is set to default. I don't want units on my measurements, and I press OK. Same thing for distance. Then the rest, I think I'm okay with the rest. However, if you came here and try to change maybe to see those of structure, we're not going to use much of this. Nope, not much of this in this course. Although some are set to what I want, like reinforcement spacing and length and cover. You can also access that units dialog box by typing in the shortcut, which is UN. So that's another way of doing it. So we have set our units to millimeters. Then I want to create the grids and levels. I think let me begin with the levels. In the previous tutorial, you recall I mentioned that to create levels, you need to be in a vertical view. I don't know if that is a term that is used in Revit, but vertical view, I mean an elevation or a section, maybe say 3D, I think, or so. When you come here to elevations, on my project browser, and I click maybe south, you realize that there are two levels that come with Revit, 1 and 2. You can always relabel these levels. Say I want this to be called ground floor, and this first floor. These elevations you see here are in meters. I don't know why it's in meters. I think this annotation, the default for this annotation is in meters. You see in Revit, you have the project unit like we set, but it does not set everything to that. There are families that can override that setting. For example, if I had this family and set it to, if I had this family, I could set it to use the project units or to use a different unit of my choosing. Perhaps that's why I think this one is in meters. But that's not a problem. We shall see how to change this in future. So it shows here 0, and here it shows 3 meters. Then you notice that I renamed these levels. So even here in the structure plan, the name is changed. Then also, if I can create a new level by copying this upwards or whichever. Now that you notice that when I'm copying, it's in millimeters. You see that dimension in blue? It's in millimeters. So the higher I go, it creates a new name of a level, of a level, and it keeps adding. So it is 3, 4, 5, like that, in that order. And even the elevations edit. If you know, we shall handle how to use the copy command later. So let me repeat this. That was using the copy command. We could also use the real level tool. So you come under the structure tab and click level here. Then you notice that down here it tells you click to enter level start point. So when you point or over the edge of this line, the snap there is an endpoint. So when you move up like this, that distance keeps increasing. Let me say I want it to be 3 meters. I can zoom in like that. If you don't want to do that, you can, as you're moving, you can just type it like 3,000. These are millimeters, and press enter. Then move to the right and click where you want it to end. I want it to be aligned to the existing ones. Now it will try to snap like that. So I'm okay with that, and I click like this. Then I rename this as let me say ring beam level. Ring beam level. Like that. I have my levels. Now you notice that this new level, its plan has been created here. However, if I got this and copied it up, come here, click, select, then click copy, then click the start point, then the end point, you notice that this level called level 7 is not created. So when that happens, you come here to view, under plan views, select structure plan, then select that view that has been that level that you created. Now it will be shown here. So it is called level 7. If I want to edit to say top level, it will be renamed. So that's how you create levels. I'll remove this, press delete, and press OK. Okay, then let me open one of these. Let me go to the first floor and create the grids. Come back here to structure, click grid, then click the start and the end, like that. That is how you create a grid. The command is still active. Click the start to the end, like that. Start to the end. If at all you want to copy the existing one, say this, click copy after selecting, of course. Remember that after clicking the command, before you work, there are these options on the options bar that you need to take note of. Constraint means that, let me begin with this. Multiple means that I can copy this multiple times without necessarily going back to select the command. However, if I repeat that, copy, if I didn't check this, then I can only copy once and the command is no longer active. I have to go back here. So that's what happens when this is checked. To constrain, this helps you if at all you want to copy these in a straight line, like this, like that. Now this is I'm mechanically constraining it because it is a bit, it snaps, yeah. But there are cases where this will happen and you misclick and stuff like that. You avoid that by selecting constraint. So now that even if I click here or here, slightly off, you see that it's copying in a straight line. You see these ones. So that's how you handle the copy command. Let me remove these and draw better grids. So that's my first grid. Notice that the grids are, it remembers where you ended. We drew so many grids. I think we ended on 22. So this new one is 23. When you click that grid, under the properties palette, there are options to change many properties about this grid. So under the name, I'll change this to 1. Now the numbering will go back to 1. If I created the new grid, it will be 2, like that, then 3. If at all I started with alphabets, it also increase accordingly. So let me do that again. Instead of going back to grid, I could also use a shortcut called GR. So when I press GR and click the start point to the end point, it says 4, because our last one was 3. So I'll edit this to A. So when you copy it up, it will become B, C, D, E, like that. If at all this was X1, is it X or Y? Okay, Y1. And I copied it to become Y2, 3, like that. It's that intelligent. So that's how you do grids. Then you can always dimension them. Of course, dimension is beyond the scope of this tutorial, but I'll show it anyway. So press come here to annotate, then look for aligned, click 2 points like that. Zoom in a bit. Now you notice that I can get this and drag it around. You see, up and down and whatever. But you can see that even the dimension changes as I do that, changes accordingly. Then also, if you selected an item that is dimensioned, that an item that is between 2 items, say this, and there is a dimension separating the segments, you could always make them equal. How? Is by selecting the dimension and click this, you toggle the dimension equality. So when I click this, remember this is 9,000, this is 9,100. So get the average and basically put this in the middle, like that. So if I toggle it again, it's now shows the new dimension. We can edit these grids to look in a particular way, like font and the bubble size. We shall handle that at a later stage. So what I want to bring to your attention is that when you click this and you come here to edit type, this is the type properties dialog box where you have the family, the type, option to duplicate and rename, and load if at all the family can be loaded. Then you have a list of parameters and values. Now you notice that on this side there are no bubbles and labels. You can always change them from here. The plan view symbols, end 1 and 2. So if I check this box and I click to apply, you now see that all of them have bubbles with the same grid number. Then you can also edit the color here. Let me choose the color that will stand out in the black background, like a yellow. I press like that. Then you can also choose the weight of the line. If I say 3, you can see the increase the size. Here, if at all I want to move, let's start with this one. I want to move this grid to the right. Of course, you need to know how far you're going to move it, or you need to have a reference to where you're going to move. So the order is that you select the command, then select what you want to edit, or you first select what you want to edit, then select the command. It is interchangeable, so what you prefer is what you go with. For example, I can say I click this, I select it, then I say move, then I click the start point to the end point, like that, then press undo. Or I would say, okay, now it is prompting me to save. I think we are beyond 15 minutes, but I'll ignore this for now. Or I would say move, then select. After selecting, I press enter, then click the start point and end point, like that. You can always follow with this status bar down here if at all you're confused on what to do. If I want to align, come here to structure, click beam, and draw a beam here like this. Oh, this beam is still, so it may not be visible. Let me choose a better one, like this one. Let me say this beam is slightly off, like that, from the grid. And I want my grid to be exactly on the beam without moving the beam, but while moving the grid. What I do is I come to modify, click the align command, then select the reference for alignment. My reference is going to be the center line of this beam. So I'll come here and hover over this beam. The snaps are active, so the midpoint of this beam will be activated like this. So when I click like that, I've selected the reference. Then I'll select the element to align. Here in the status bar it says, please select an entity to align. In brackets, it will move into alignment with the reference. So I click this. Simple as that. Then if it comes to the times where you want to align many of them, an example would be, let me say I have, what example can I use? Let me have columns. Yes, column. We shall handle this in the next tutorial, but let me just use it for illustration purposes. Let me choose a column here, then I place like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're staggered like that. Let me say I want all of them to be on the same line, this grid. What I'll do is I'll click align, come at modify, click align. Then right here before I start working, there's multiple align. So I make sure I select that. Then I select the reference. So now after selecting the reference, I have an option to click or select many entities one by one. So I'll come here and select the center line. I hover over the center of the column like that and click the middle points. The snaps are active like that. Then when I'm done, I press escape 2 times and I'm out of the command. Then if you want to offset, like you have an element existing but you want to create a similar one at an offset, just hover over it, to show you the reference where that element you are pointing to, where it will go, exactly like that. So up here in the properties panel, need to select the offset distance. Let me say 3,500. And I want it to copy. If you don't select this, it will move it like that. If it is selected, it will copy. Now you see, if I hover over this, see this blue line here, it is a bit overlapping with the yellow, so you may not see. But if I select this side, you can see now it's copying like that. If I want to mirror this grid along somewhere here, I'll select, remember the order of section doesn't matter, whether you're selecting the entity or the command first. So I'll select this, click mirror. It will tell me to choose a mirror reference or axis of reflection. And now I need to have had an axis already drawn. But for illustration purposes, let me use this. So when I click this, it goes this side. Let me undo. Then also, if I want to move this, instead of copying it, after clicking the mirror tool, I come and check this, then click the axis of reflection. Now, this time round to move. Let me undo. Let's say I don't have a reference here, but I know exactly where I want the reference to be. I can actually draw the reference in real time as I'm mirroring. So I'll choose this command instead of this. So when you select this, select the entity, then you press enter after selection. Remember now it has changed. I selected the command first, then the entity. So when it is in that order, you have to press enter. Pick start point, then end point. Draw the axis. It can even be at an angle, whichever, but as simple as that. However, before I leave, I want to point out one, which is trim and extend. So trim and extend, if I have, let me say, beam. Sorry, I'm not going to illustrate how to draw these beams in this tutorial. I have a separate tutorial for that. Let me say I have my beams like that, and there is another one here, and I want to join this to this. What I do is use this tool. I select the entity, the two entities. Then I click trim and extend, select the entity and this one, like that. Then if I want to say join this and this, this is not possible because they are parallel. But if I had another one, let me type again BM for the beam, select start point and end point. If I want to join these two, come here, click trim and extend to corner, then click the two, like that. If I have another one here, let me do the command again. If I want to extend these to these, I'll use this. But this extends one element, this extends multiple elements. For example, if I had, let me do another one here, like that. If I want to use this, let me illustrate it for you. You click the command. Down here it tells you select a reference as the trim or extend boundary. When you hover over the edge of this beam, it becomes highlighted, so you can click it as the reference. Then it tells you now select the line or wall to extend. You simply click the beam which you want to be attached to this line. If I want to say to repeat the command for this one, you come back and click the edge, then this. Come back and click the command, the edge, then this. Click the command again, edge, then this. Now that's a bit tiresome if you have many, so it's better to use this, whereby you click once, the command once. When you click the command, click the edge. So now you can click all these at a go or one by one like this, or you can draw a selection. Oh, I think a selection is, oh sorry, let me repeat that. Click the command, the edge, then draw a selection over the members. You click one point, hold down the mouse and drag to the other side, then release. So that's it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial we shall go into detail on how to place the columns and the beams. Then after that shall handle slabs, then foundations. Thank you for listening. See you in the next tutorial.